Hey y'all, welcome to the Honesty Circle, the safe space for heart to heart conversations rooted in faith, discussing mental health, navigating adulthood, and all the things in between. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope you're taking care of not only your mental and spiritual, but your emotional and physical health so you can be your best self this week. Hey y'all, welcome back to the episode of the Honesty Circle. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope that you remember that God loves you because He does. And today we're going to be talking about anxious thoughts versus urgent thoughts. And this really came to me as someone who has anxiety, and when the way my anxiety shows up, it really expedites my movement or my thoughts to the point where it's like I don't know what to do, or it makes me frantic because I'm thinking all that I have to do, or I'm thinking about the end. I'm thinking about all of these things, all the steps that requires, and I try to rush something that doesn't need to be rushed. Versus something that is just urgent, where it does require me to move quickly, and some on those lines. And so I'm gonna tell you how this came to me. And so I already planned to do a Bible story breakdown, and I was like, okay, I had read Samson recently, like kind of more recent, when I was going through and really saying, okay, what episode do I want to talk about, or what I want to talk about in that episode. Um, and so I just put the story of Samson, and I'm not exactly sure why that came to my heart, but obviously God has a reason for everything. But part of me, with Samson is I knew the story, obviously, of giving away a secret. Not the secret, but yeah, basically giving away a secret, and giving someone access to the vision or the power that, his superpower, I guess you could say. And it ended up being kind of taken away from him for a little bit. So I was really thinking about plans, dreams, goals, all of that in which God gives us. And basically how I was trying to figure out what is the I was hoping reading Samson would give me some clarity, and clearly it did, but not the clarity that I got from it. So I saw a TikTok, and it was a girl talking about basically just moving fast. The time is now. You need to go do that thing, and it was in the scope of basically talking about do the thing that God is telling you to do, and how tomorrow's not promised, and so you need to get it, do it now, and then also she said something where it's it's go time, and I was like, oh my gosh. And you guys know, well, I haven't really talked about it that much, but I'm trying to do freelance on the side. And so it's around the time where that started to be more of a reality of something I wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, gosh, I gotta go now. And I'm got to the point where I was then in my head so much about, okay, obviously I feel like this is something that is a goal of mine, or if it's something it's God is leading me towards. And I'm like, okay, but am I supposed to be a good steward of my time, or am I supposed to be moving quickly in his go time? What is the balance? Because being a good steward of my time looks like, being more well-rounded, not only devoting my time to that, but also making sure that I'm taken care of. So all the late nights where I'm staying up late, working on stuff, that's not being the best steward of my time, or all of these things. And so then I'm like, okay, but what do I was like, which one do I listen to? Which voice, which thoughts do I lean towards? And how do I know to decipher when it's a moment of me needing to this is the time for you to move forward, but then also with the difference between it's this is something I wanted you to move towards, but you don't gotta go doom, 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 and think about all the steps. So all the noise I just made. But anyways, and so I kind of prayed. I was just like, okay, God, what is a story that kind of talks about that? And I was in the car, and I'm driving down. Where was I going? I don't know where I was going. I want to say I was going to Tennessee. I think. Yeah, I think I was going to Tennessee, and I'm just driving, and boom, it hits me. And I'm going to go through the story of Samson and kind of what I took from it. And this is why I have my Bible here that I wrote all my crazy notes in. Because I'm going to kind of walk you through like the thought process that I had, how all this came about. Like I just told you the backstory, but now I'm going to go through, because I had read this, mind you, I had read this multiple times prior. So I had listened to it because I like to listen in the Bible app because my brain distracts me. So listening helps. So I was listening to it first and I listened to it all the way through. I had then gone back and like read it a little bit in the Bible app. And then I got my Bible. This is like all separate days, separate weeks, honestly. I think it was like between a span of 2-3-ish weeks, I would say, in which this kind of came about. And yeah, so basically the story of Samson. So basically the angel from the Lord appears and basically is like, you're going to have a child. Also gives instructions and how to kind of go about it. He says that you're going to bear a child, and then also that his hair shouldn't be cut. And that his basic life is dedicated to God. So that's the backstory about how he's kind of how he gets his strength. What I also didn't know too is I only thought that Samson was with Delilah. I didn't know there was another woman prior to Delilah. This also, sorry, I didn't say this was. This is in Judges chapter 13. I'm reading the NIV. And then I'm now in chapter 14. So the cool thing about this was that at the time of him seeing this woman, it's a woman from a different area. And his parents are like, why are you going outside the people that we have right here? We have people right here that you can want to marry, and you're going to go somewhere else. And a key point that I really liked, it was in verse 4. It said that his parents did not know that this was from the Lord, who was seeking an occasion to confront the Philistines for the time they were ruling over Israel. And that's really important because although his parents did not understand why he had the urge to do something that was going against like the norm, I guess you could say, it was a part of God's overarching plan. I'm going to go kind of speed through and kind of go to the point of he goes about to marry this woman and they have some like feast, I think it's called. And the thing was, on the way there, he had killed a lion, and then the second time that he went, he saw there was honey in there. So he basically gave a riddle to them, and said that if you can get this riddle, then, I will basically give you riches. And the riddle was, out of the eater, something eats, or something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. And it's basically talking about honey coming out of the lion, on the way down there. The thing about this, though, was they had no idea. And the whole time, the guys that he's trying to figure out this riddle, they're going to this woman talking about basically threatening her, saying like, you need to give us, we cannot figure this out. Give us the inside scoop so that way we can know what it is and so we can get the riches, basically. One thing I also thought this was interesting because there's a verse here in verse 16 where it said that Samson's wife threw himself on him, sobbing, "You hate me. You don't really love me. You've given my people a riddle and haven't told me the answer." She's begging. She's begging, 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 begging. Also, this ate me up because if you know anything about me, y'all know I'm oftentimes saying, "Oh my gosh, you hate me to my friends if they don't text me back," to anything, honestly. And I was like, I realized how manipulative that was, number one. And because she's manipulating him, she knows her intentions because she's going to go give the riddle to someone who is trying to figure all of this out. And so the voice that was hearing was manipulation. I'm going to skip through basically the part with Delilah. The people are trying to get revenge on Samson for what he did to their people, because things didn't go well with this first woman, and he kind of goes berserk because he's super strong. And he gets vengeance on them. And then the whole thing happens with Delilah where he goes with Delilah. This is the more common story where you go with Delilah. She ends up giving away the secret that the strength is in the hair. They try to get him multiple times. She's a part of it multiple times. They cut his hair. He tries to get out the shackles. Can't get out. Strength has left his body as soon as his hair was gone. And so this might seem like a reach, but I promise it really spoke to me. The two difference between these was they both were manipulative, right? Both were voices that were giving information. Both of them caused him to act in a way that he kind of, I guess I could say, sped him up, right? Like he had no intentions of telling the first woman what the riddle was. And the same thing, he had no intentions of telling Delilah where his strength lied. But for both of them, they tried and tried. So while it might seem similar, the main difference that I realized in the two of them was the first one was that it was a part of God's plan. So that's number one. The first girl, this was a part of God's plan for God to do what he wanted to the Philistines because of when they were ruling over Israel. But the thing with Delilah was now he's saying something and that goes against what God had planned for him. God had planned for him for his hair not to be cut. He basically gave way to the enemy that went against what he knew was supposed to be, like I would say, like his secret sauce. And so how does this relate to us? Y'all know you're probably wondering, like, girl, this ain't got nothing to do with me. But it does, because this is how we're going to realize what thoughts are we supposed to be moving on, right? The anxious thoughts that are close to Delilah, that are making us go against what we know is God's plan for us. Or the first situation where is this something that is speaking towards the greater good, the greater plan. And even thinking on a smaller scale, this doesn't have to be something of thinking of God's plan for your life. This could be literally, like I said, it happens to me with like a small project. I can get anxiety and think about all the steps that I need to complete and the amount of time that I have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's speeding me up. Now I'm stuck. Now I'm like, you know what? Let's reel it in. These thoughts are speeding me up in an anxious way, and it's going against what I know is true. The truth is, it's going to work out good. The truth is, every situation I face at this, like in my life, I have 100% track record with because of God. But there hasn't been anything that has taken me out. I'm still alive and breathing. So every task, I have the power, the strength to overcome it. Whether I have the strength of my own or if I lean on the strength of God, the strength of people in my community, there is strength that I can rely on that is not just myself. And so that's really how the questions I've been asking myself lately when anxious thoughts have started to come up. Both of these are kind of identical. He sped up his tell the riddle. It sped that process up. But it was a speed up in a way that was still in alignment, still in plan with the will of God. And so that is kind of like what I took from this. Other things came out to me too. Every time they talk about Samson's strength, it says the Spirit of the Lord came powerful upon him, or some way in which to talk about the Spirit of the Lord coming over him. So like I said before, it ain't got to be your strength. It could be the strength of the Lord. So lean into that strength source. Another thing I got from this too was what I really will say is the birth of him. I thought the question, because I feel like there's multiple stories in the Bible where it talks about there is a woman that ain't got no kids, and here come God talking about you about to have a kid. And I'm just thinking about how many times in my life, do I feel that something comes up that goes against literally your reality? Literally. Goes against what your reality is, goes against what you personally planned. And it's just like, okay. And I realized that it happens 4 times, I think it is, I wrote down. Yep, 4 times in the Bible it happens. And another thing, this is my last point, which is not related to anxious thoughts at all. But this 8 too. In the beginning, like I said, the angel originally comes to the wife first. What does she do? She goes to her husband and says, basically, yo, this is what he told me. What I really liked was that him as the husband took this and took it to God. He didn't take matters into his own hands. He took it to God himself. He said, all right, God, this is what this person had told my wife. We need your guidance and instruction. So this is 2 things that I got from this. One, the immediate response was to go to God, which I thought that spoke a lot. Another thing too is he took it to God and asked for instruction, like I said. And a question I asked myself is, like, basically, how are the people in your life helping you steward the word that God gave you? Are they going to God themselves to, before they, move in a certain direction, or are they just going to tell you? Because what could have been the reality was his wife could have been like, or he could have to his wife like, girl, you're crazy. That didn't happen. Like, he could have just dismissed it completely, but he didn't. He acknowledged it. He was skeptical because he did bring his questions to God, but I just thought that was, it speaks a lot to the people in your life. Not just like this was a marriage, but not just marriage. It could be people like you're in community with, like, how are they helping you steward a vision that God's given you? Not always are people going to be in this way. God's going to speak to them as well to help you with the vision that God's giving you. But there are times that it does happen. It just has a matter of who are you speaking to about your visions, your goals. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend y'all reading this. Like I said, it's Judges chapter 13 is where the birth starts. And then it goes to chapter 16 where it talks about Samson and Delilah. Then it goes into his death in chapter 16 as well. So it's not too many. I hope that you took something from this, because I really hope that you take realizing what thoughts to listen to, and when it's time to speed up and when it's anxiety. That's the main part of all of this. When it's time to speed up and when is it time to let those anxious thoughts go. Okay, that's it for today. C's 2 cents is to, when those anxious thoughts come up or the moments come up, my mom always tells me to take a second to calm and then assess what it is happening, what it is the source. And when you think about what the source is, hopefully that will then guide you in the direction in which you should be moving, right? Do I need to keep moving forward? Is this a cautionary anxious thoughts where it's like, this is okay to have some form of like distance here? Or is it a thought where it's like, okay, girl, this is complete anxiety. We need to let that anxiousness go. So assess your anxious thoughts this week if they arise, not just today, but always. And you can take my advice or not. That is just my 2 cents. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. If you like anything that you heard, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at The Honesty Circle with an _ at the end. Also, we got TikTok. I haven't posted just yet. The day that I'm recording this, I haven't posted my TikTok. But I did get a TikTok. It's at The Honesty Circle. So follow us there too. And yeah, thanks so much for listening, and go conquer your week.